All right, 12:03, I think we can start. Thank you so much, everyone who joined us today. Today we will talk about international student experiences and ways to get hired, tips, strategies, and things like that. Today we have a panel discussion. So I will just start with some quick guidelines. Please make sure that you turn off your mics and cameras until we have the Q&A section at the end. This event is recorded and you will see the recording in this Teams event later. Also, you can use the chat function to ask your questions during the event or during the Q&A section, so feel free to use that. Also, at the end, you will have space if you want to unmute yourself and ask your questions using the mic. We can also do that. And there is also closed captioning available. Quick agenda for today. So today I will start with some resources for international students. Then we will have a panel discussion and then a Q&A portion. And today we have time until 1:30. So feel free to ask your questions again in chat or during the Q&A section at the end using your mics. Something that I wanted to start with is importance of starting early. And if you're here, it means that you are in this process and it's good. So definitely when you start, you need to know that you're not alone. We are here to help you. So for example, you can start utilizing our services in the University Career Center, where I'm working as a career consultant. So you can definitely reach out to me or reach out to our team if you need any help with career questions. We do resume reviews, mock interviews, and things like that. Also, it's important to learn about your US visa regulations and work authorization options so you can communicate that to your potential employers. And I wanted to show you some quick resources. ISSO, International Student Services, they have the information on their website about different specifics of F1 employment, J1 employment. So if you don't have that information yet, I would encourage you to visit their website to find more information about immigration options, and also they do advising. And some of our resources includes, again, resume cover letter reviews, which you can schedule an appointment through Handshake and talk to us. We also help with interviewing techniques. So for example, we do interview preparation appointments and we do mock interviews, which is super helpful as well. We do a lot of events. For example, this event is just one of them, but we also do career fairs, we do workshops, we do seminars, we do panels, and a lot of other events. So definitely find those on Handshake, register, and we will be happy to see you. And another resource that we have is Going Global, which you can find on our website. This is a good website for international students to review what are the different options, and also it has information about employers who historically hired international students. And I also wanted to give you some quick tips. What are the different websites that you can use to research companies that traditionally hire international students or historically hired international students? So some of them might include My Visa Jobs, H-1B Employer Data Hub on the USCIS website, and the SEVP Data Library, which you can also utilize. All right, to schedule an appointment, go on Handshake, and we will be happy to help you. And just to know that we are here to help you. You're not alone. Alrighty, let's move to the most important section, panel discussion. So this is the list of our panelists today, and I will have them introduce themselves. Sammy, looks like you're first over here. Do you want to introduce yourself quick?
Sure. Sammy, ex-international student from many years ago. I work for Wayfair. I've been there for 5 years, and I'm excited to talk to you all.
Thank you. I think you're muted.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Hey, hello everyone. My name is Gaurav, and I graduated UTD in 2015. I currently work at Amazon Web Services as a part of AWS organization, and I'm excited to be here and looking forward to this chat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Shirin and I'm a current student at UTD, pursuing Masters in Business Analytics. I joined UTD in fall 21 and I had the opportunity of working for Mary Kay as a data science intern this summer. Yeah, I'm looking forward to speaking with you all.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Prakash Nallagatla. I was an ex-student of UTD. I graduated back in '98 from UTD from Masters in Computer Science. And I currently work as an SVP and CEO of Mroads LLC. and which specializes in HR-related software and HR-related services.
Perfect. Thank you. Greg, let me know if you're here. I don't see you yet. All right, I'll message him quick. Alrighty, thank you so much for your introductions. Let's move to the first question. So this is again an kind of intro, but a little more about your path. So if you want to share what was your major program at UTD, or if you went to other school, please share how did your career path look like. So a little bit about yourself, your position, company, education, internships, and things like that. We don't have to follow the order, so who wants to jump first? Feel free to.
Okay, let me get going first. Hi, this is Prakash again from Mroads. So as I mentioned earlier, right, I was an ex-student, graduated in '98, and then I explored the regular opportunities just like any other student that is there on this panel now. And I have explored my path to several organizations, and then finally had the itch of starting a company, doing an entrepreneurship, and then opening up a company that I wanted to do what I wanted to do in my professional career. So even though I graduated in '98 till 2015, I was working with Nortel, GTE, and then it transformed into Verizon. And then while working at Verizon, I had a lot of ideas that was going through my mind. So to do some professional things that I always wanted to do. So I ended up starting up the company back in 2011 with a couple of other partners. And then we built a software called Panya. Panya is basically what you can say is like a Zoom or Teams, but it's more customized towards HR as in digital recruitment strategies. So particularly if you are an IT related company, and this is a software that definitely helps a lot in how a digital recruitment can be done. So that's what we ended up doing. We started the company in 2011, and for the last 11 years, we have built the product, and we also have established services divisions with Fortune 500 companies, and we're helping them with talent placement as well.
Thank you for sharing.
I'll go really quick. So I didn't go to University of Texas, unfortunately. I ended up choosing Penn State. I graduated as an electrical engineer. I was an international student at that time. I ended up joining a company in Pennsylvania for about 10 years. I did tech roles, but then I got into sales operations, marketing, eventually management on the sales side. I saw that all of the leadership team at this company, which is a medium-sized 4,000 or 5,000 employee private company, all of the leadership team is like 25 years at the company or more. And so, already being 10 years into my role in this company, I'm like, should I stay here? Is this the life that I want in the future? I decided no. I tried to switch jobs, but when you switch jobs, especially after being 10 years in the same industry, it's very difficult to find something outside the industry. So the only people that would...
Looks like the audio cut out. Sammy, can you still hear us?
Sorry, how about now? Maybe
Yeah,
I clicked
now.
something by accident. Yeah, anyway, long story short, I joined an MBA as a way to get out and venture into new industry. And after my MBA, I was able to pivot to e-commerce, which is Wayfair, where we sell furniture online. It's a public company, fairly large. I really honestly learned a ton through this whole process, and I'm happy to speak to you all about it.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll go next. So, yeah, I'm Shirin, and I am still a current student at UTD. So I'm in my third semester, and I'll be graduating in May 2023. So my academic background is I did my bachelor's in economics. So I got interested into statistics, so which made me inclined towards analytics, and hence I chose master's in business analytics here. Um, and I'm taking a bunch of data science and marketing analytics subjects here as part of the curriculum. And one advice I have for international students is like don't be scared to start early, because a lot of people are very scared of applying early because their resumes are not perfect. But it's just a matter of time. Like you never know when you get the job or when you land an internship. So don't be afraid to apply for an opportunity early.
Thank you. And Gaurav?
Yeah, all great introductions here. Myself, Gaurav, back again. So I actually did my bachelor's in electrical and electronics engineering back in India. I was a hardcore engineering person working into diesel power generation systems facilities. So it was really a hardcore electrical job. And in parallel, I was also very keenly interested in robotics. So I used to have a small company called Yantra Corporation based out of Bangalore, India, where I would just really create programs and really coaching and training, hands-on training for engineering students across the country. So I did that close to 3 years combined before making a decision to come to US. And I came here, joined UTD in 2013 for my master's in electrical engineering. Soon realized in a year that was not the path I was really passionate about. So transitioned towards systems engineering and management, which was combination of engineering and management subjects. Mostly management, my management courses were focused towards technology and new product development of the house so that I can stay close to tech, but still integrate into the functional side. Um, but finally, it was a fantastic learning at UTD. I graduated in 2015, but as a matter of fact, I did not do any internship, or because I think I was not really one of the brightest students. So I think my really strategy was to find a job once I graduate. So I did not do any internships, but I ended up getting my first role working for Cisco, and I was there working as a business analyst slash strategic program manager. But from there, since 2016, I have taken few different roles: program management, portfolio management, business intelligence. Right now, I work at AWS, and the organization I sit is known like the private pricing organizations. So we really touch the top 200, 300 customers only. And we are defining the sales strategy around how do we help um, help our customers succeed and go to market with their new business ideas and products. So there is a lot we do strategy side. There is a huge element from a technical perspective, which involves pretty much cross-functional people across the board. Yeah, I'm excited today and looking forward to this discussion. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, let's move to the second question. Describe your career path. Tell us your academic history and how you came to choose this career. You kind of talked about that already, but if you want to tell a little more about specifically choosing your career, especially if your undergrad or grad school was a little different from what you do right now. So, for example, as Gaurav mentioned, you started with like business analytics, and right now you're doing as I've understood a little different thing. So yeah, tell us a little bit about your story, how you got to this position or field that you are in right now.
Yeah, is that directed to me, Yulia?
To everyone, but you can start if you want.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'll piggyback on it. Yes, I will definitely clarify here. Yes, I started at electrical engineering, but what I do right now is sales strategy and operations. So, I mean, for at the very beginning, of course, you have to get your footprint inside an industry. And I mean, if you already have one, fantastic. If you have some experience under the belt. If not, I mean, what you will never know until you are there, so you have to get there before you can know it. So best really, the way I found out is really took my first step inside the corporate door, really to understand what are my superpowers, versus what are my opportunities and gap areas. So, and eventually once you are into the role, you start to learn it better, where you can differentiate what you enjoy, what you don't, because I mean, the only way you are going to be successful in the role is if you are passionate about what you are doing. And that takes a minute before you can fine tune it. So that being said, yes, go by your gut, understand what really thrills and motivates and excites you. So really, that's where you start. There is no secret formula or recipe that you're gonna get it 100% right, but just use your best judgment in terms of what really excites or thrill you, and just make sure you are focused on the target. Because what I have personally done that mistake is I used to have like 6, 7 versions of my resume, just trying to do multiple different jobs, just because I wanted to cast a wider net, which I think is a great strategy. But I think fine tuning it to 1 or 2 or 3 is much better than going for 7 or 8. I mean, again, I will not put my all eggs in one basket. So that's why I say 2 or 3, because many roles, the way they are crafted, are a little different than one another. But if you read between the fine lines, they are tightly interlocked and skills are transferable. So that would be my advice. But if and I'll be answering more questions at the end if you have any specific on this.
Thank you. Yeah, who wants to jump next on for the second question?
I'll get going, right? This is Prakash again. As to continue the story, like what Gaurav said, what you start up with and what you end up with can be completely different. My story continues the same way too. When I did my bachelor's back in India, I did from SP University, Tirupati. I did my bachelor's in chemical engineering, even though I had the passion for computer science even then, because those days, this is early 90s or late 80s, computers are considered as a really fascinating objects. It's not, you don't have access to computers that easily, right? So that always had that fire inside saying, you know, what is computer science, right? That's what was keeping me always a little into pursuing computer science, but I ended up doing chemical engineering. Chemical engineering was my second option, right? Then when came to US for master's program, I did my master's in chemical engineering from University of Akron, and started dipping into computer science to see, you know, what computer science is. And I was taking elective courses in computer science. It ignited my passion for computer science, and then I ended up doing master's in computer science in UT Dallas, right? And then I graduated in UT Dallas. I mean, just like the whole lot of students out here who are about to graduate and they are seeking professional avenues, right? When I graduated, it was just like what happened during the pandemic. That is a glorious job opportunities, right? Back in 98, 2000, it was golden days of internet. Internet was new. Internet started in 94, 95. It's all .com. Everything was going great guns, right? So multiple opportunities. Every week you have a job offer to take, right? So I ended up getting multiple offers, but for varied reasons, I ended up selecting to go with a local company, which is GTE, which is the pre-Verizon. Verizon and Bell Atlantic merged to form Verizon, right? I mean, GTE and Bell Atlantic. So I was in GTE. GTE was a very young company. So I started in GTE because GTE had a program that would go and hire talent from top 25 schools and then local talent also along with it, to see they were building a huge talent pool for their data services division. That's how I started my career. It was a very exciting opportunity that GTE offered, and I really had fun. But then when the .com bubble came and hit, things were not right, and still we overcame the .com bubble and then continued on GTE, and GTE became Verizon, and I continued with Verizon till 2015. Over the course of Verizon, right, some of the accomplishments we did are, you call 800 Verizon, the application that starts. My team was a major part of that application. We built probably one of the first voice portal applications in the industry. So Verizon was way ahead in building voice portal applications. So that's how we started with Verizon, and then did home network management and multiple .com based repair solutions, call center repair solutions, all of that for Verizon. Then during the whole course of the duration, when I started my career, I had options to join in startups too. So that the fire was there inside, which I never explored. So while working for Verizon, we had several ideas to see, what can I do separately on my own as a startup? And that's how we ended up starting, me and a couple of like-minded partners, we ended up starting Mroads as a company. So we started in 2011, and then we started exploring what are the products that we can evaluate, and we ended up with Panya. Before Panya, there were multiple products we were trying to do too. Okay, but Panya was the one that we finally swivel chaired to, because when we go through a startup and an entrepreneurship, you start with something, you swivel chair, and then see where you want to go, and then finally we ended up with Panya as an opportunity. Panya is what we saw as lacking in the whole HR industry, as in when any company wants to go and hire, they have automated systems that are available to post a job, but then they have automated systems to onboard when the offer is made. But there's a big gap in between where a job is posted and there are a lot of resumes coming through, like all the students applying, and how do you find the talent? And is there any automated way of doing that? There's nothing. So that's where we started building the gap, bridging the gap, and then building Panya. And that's how we started our product. And then during the course, we extended our services into our clients also. We work with multiple Fortune 500 clients. So we extend our services where we are also doing professional services for these clients. And we have even staffing solutions that are available for the clients. That's how we explored and we expanded into our current roles. Hopefully,
Thank
if you
you for
have any
sharing.
questions for the question and answer session, I can answer more.
Sounds good. Sammy, Shirin, do you want to go next?
I kind of covered everything in my introduction. So I come from a background of economics, and I chose business analytics for my master's. So I didn't have any work experience, but still I managed to get an internship, summer internship with Marie Kay. So it was a data science internship, but initially when I came here, I was never inclined towards data science. But I kept an open mind, and whatever came through my way, I did a data science internship, and kind of gave me the confidence that I can do it, because coming from a non-tech background, I was very intimidated with the tech field. So it includes a lot of coding and building models. But then doing that internship made me really confident about I can do it. Like I can take more data science subjects and like actually pursue a career in data science. And it's actually very interesting for me right now. Yeah, so this is how I'm like pursuing. So sort of my goal includes a data science role and or a similar career, and I'm exploring opportunities for me myself as well right now.
Can I ask a quick follow-up question? There was a question in chat. Is it hard to get internship as an international student? And since you just got your internship recently, this summer, can you share, was it difficult for you? Was it easy? Was it something in between?
Yeah, so I don't think it's difficult at all, because most companies have their summer internship program. In fact, um, I am having difficulty in finding a spring internship, because like a lot of companies don't do spring internships. Like they just mainly focus on summer internships. And like opportunities have started opening up, and for me, applying early really helped, because most companies fix their internships around fall, which starts from August to October, and then they start interviewing. So I highly recommend, if you want to bag a summer internship, you should start early. And coming to the visa part, so most companies are very open with the visa part, because they know it's only an internship. So Maliki also doesn't sponsor. So, but like with the recruiter call, they told me like, okay, we don't sponsor, but you are eligible for summer internship. Would you be interested for interviewing? So this is what happens. Like you have to be honest with them. Like you would need sponsorship, but ask them at the same time that I am eligible to work for an internship. So that is not a very that's not the main problem, because very like Sammy mentioned, very few companies look for long-term employees to retain the interns in the long term, but most companies are open to take international students for internships.
Thank you for sharing that. Sammy, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll be brief, but like mostly on to find a job and an internship. I think if I had to go back in time, what I would do is I would look at, first of all, for internship, who are people in my current program that got an internship? And I would spend some time doing a research, find out what companies they went to intern with. I would then network with them and call them to understand how they applied, what did they learn, who's the hiring manager, the team, and then work backwards from there. Because from the employer perspective, which I now have, it's like, oh, I got a lot of interns from Northeastern, and Shirin or Sammy or whatever, they did really, really good. So now I'm looking forward to the next intern from Northeastern, right? And it becomes like a cycle. Or from University of Dallas, Texas. Sorry, Yulia, I'm based in Boston, so my mind goes to Boston. And same thing for finding a job. Who in your program, what full-time jobs did they get? They were international students. Go and network with them. People who were students and then went to work, they're more likely to respond to your email, to your LinkedIn request, right? And so that would be one step. Now, the other thing, the advice that I have is language. If you're struggling with English, or you're struggling to understand American culture, the best and fastest way to overcome this is through a job. So internship is fantastic because like every day you'll be learning. You'll be forced to learn. And if you can't do an internship right away, or you're not looking for it, you're allowed to do on-campus jobs. And it really doesn't matter what on-campus job you do, because you're going to be forced to interact in the language with other Americans, etc. And I found that to be like a great way to ramp up culture and language understanding, if that's something that you're struggling with.
That's a great advice. Thank you. All right, let's move to the third question. It's kind of broad, I would say. What advice do you have for international students looking for jobs or internships?
Let me start first to answer that question, right? I think Shirin has mentioned it right. Any internship you are looking for, it starts a little early. You need to be in the fall itself. A lot of people who look for internship into the next year, as in like February, March, by the time most of the Fortune 100, 500 companies, the enterprises, they go and lock their internships by December itself. So a lot of decisions on internships happen by December, and then that internships are going to start for the next summer, right? So thinking that, the common mistake we students usually make is thinking that summer starts in June, I can approach companies in February, March. It's already too late. That's one I would definitely say.
I think most of all the advices are covered here. I'm not really an expert in internship area, having not done one. So maybe my perspective might be very unique or different, because I think my job strategy was more geared towards finding a long-term solution. And that's how I approached, because I came with that little bit of entrepreneurship experience back in India. So I had like basics and foundation set, but I certainly am a huge advocate. If you are able to find an internship, by all means, go for it. It nurtures you to be prepared for any organization that you work for, because once you are really into the seat and on the roll, things can be fast, and you might not have enough time to learn those basic kind of foundational skills which you could have built during the internship. So definitely a good transitioning spot when you are trying to look for your success in the long-term employment. So that's how I see it as.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Anyone else who wants to share like advice, or we can go to the next question? Yeah, I just wanted to give everyone a chance to answer that.
I think I gave my quick tips on the job internship part. So
Yeah,
Sounds
me
good.
too.
All righty. Let's move to the next one then. It's also kind of similar, but it's a little more towards visa sponsorship. So it's really tough. And the students I see, a lot of them are asking questions when is the best time to discuss sponsorship? How do I talk about it? Because it's intimidating to even bring it up, because you know that a lot of companies will not even consider you if you need sponsorship in the future. So kind of like my question is, how would you recommend talking about sponsorship? What is the best time? Do you kind of have a template, or like something like maybe some specific questions that you will advise, or like you will recommend asking? And also, like, we do want to be honest, but how do we talk about that?
I can quickly jump in with a few comments. So for me, again, going back in time, I would want to get it out of the way as soon as possible so that we don't waste time. I've heard too many stories of students continuing through the interview process and then at the last second getting rejected because of them needing a visa. And so that can be like a wasted time. So I think someone asked in the chat, should you not answer yes? No, you should always answer yes, that you need sponsorship. Now, for larger companies that hire a lot of international students, they know what they're doing. They know how much it costs them to hire international students. They know they have an immigration attorney that they work with. You're never going to convince them yes or no. So you just want to tell them up front, yes, I need the visa. Okay, this role allows a visa or not. So a lot of the good conversation is, do you actually sponsor for this role? And an example in Wayfair, we don't sponsor for general analyst, but we sponsor for technical analyst, right? And there's a difference between the two in the job description. Now, for medium and smaller size company, if they don't hire a lot of international students, you can actually start to get smart and overcome some of their fear, right? I don't have the best talk track for that, but the talk track is usually around, look, I'm an international STEM student. I need to enter the lottery 2-3 times, which you will help me with, right? But worst case scenario, you get my time for 3 years. I get experience and you get experience, right? You get the work, something to that effect. So maybe they're happy to have you for 3 years because they're a startup and they have no idea where they will end up in 1 year or 2 years, right? But basically, long story short, large company, be upfront, try and find out which roles they sponsor for or not. Smaller company or mid-sized company that don't know what they're doing, find a good talk track, work with an immigration attorney to have a discussion on how you might add value to them. There, it might be worthwhile to have the conversation. Okay.
Yeah, to expand on that, right? It's very well said. Sammy said it right. Being upfront and honest about the visa sponsorship is important. But at the same time, as Sammy was mentioning, bigger companies have corporates that have the track record of sponsoring visas. So they have their immigration lawyers that take care of that. But then there are some mid-level companies and smaller companies. They also do visa sponsorships. But what you want to be honest when you are telling visa that you need a visa sponsorship is you are better off even clearing that up, saying, hey, for the first 2 years, I may not, because I already have work authorization that I can work for anyone. But if it comes to that, I would like to see whether you can apply for a visa sponsorship for me so that I will move to a more stable status, a visa work status, rather than keeping looking for a lottery system again and again every year. So being upfront is much better because that helps companies prepare that they don't have surprises coming in February, March when the whole lottery system starts working, that their employee is asking for, hey, can you apply for me, right? So that gives them additional time to prepare and make sure that their resources are aligned for sponsoring the visa, right? So, but being upfront as visa sponsorship needed is very important. At the same time, you can explain that you can still work without the sponsorship for the couple of years, but still you would prefer to have a sponsorship done on a yearly basis to see which lottery is going to work for you.
Thank you for sharing that.
So, for internships, I think you should answer yes because the recruiter, if you're like selected, so most companies only look for from the internship perspective, and they know that you students are on F1. Sometimes there is a column too, which asks like, are you eligible for STEM extension, or are you eligible to work for fall as well, or extend the internship? So there are so many questions in the applications. Yeah, of course, like as Sammy said, like you should always answer yes because so that it doesn't create any confusion from the end of employer, and it would be bad if like they decide to move forward with you. And secondly, yeah, so the recruiter will reach out to you and they will confirm, they will check your background, they will check your transcripts and visa and everything. So it's better not to worry about the visa sponsorship for during internships. But yeah, there is a separate procedure for getting the full time. Of course, like there are multiple options. Like there are companies who sponsor, so you should only apply for those companies, and there are specific roles. So sometimes the company doesn't sponsor all the roles, but only the specific roles. So you can like reach out to a recruiter on LinkedIn and ask them if you're eligible and tell them honestly about your visa status. So I think this is the right way to go about it.
Quick follow-up on that. For internships, if the application question is, will you now or in the future require sponsorship? I know a lot of people have different perspectives on that. What I was just wondering, like, what is your perspective, and if any other panelists have like kind of advice on that, I would also appreciate that for internships.
Yeah, I guess there's no harm in saying yes because it does mention like in future. So I had like 2 3 calls, recruiter calls when I was looking for internships. So one was from Disney, one was from Mary Kay, and one was from other companies. So they did told me like they are not going to sponsor, but I'm still eligible for internship. So they did go forward with the interview. So I think even they know like we are international students and they have our resumes and they have all the information. So I think there's no harm in saying yes in that column, um, but there are some companies which if you answer yes, they might not even consider you for internship too. So but I think it's for the betterment then.
So, hey,
Sorry, I was on mute. To expand on what Shirin was mentioning, it's important that you mention about visa sponsorships because most enterprises, Fortune 500 clients, right? What they look for is in a successful internship, they would want to extend that relationship into an employment opportunity also, right? So knowing that you would need a visa sponsorship, it's actually better for them because if they really like you, they're going to see what avenues they need to pursue to make it happen. So it's even in internships, you are better off mentioning that in the sense, for an internship, I haven't authorized to work, but if I need to continue engagement with you in the future, I may be needing a visa sponsorship. It's better to be upfront.
yeah, I think pretty much everything was covered. I just want to add to everything what has already been said. The way I think is like, and if you can get into a position where initially it was said they wouldn't, companies wouldn't sponsor, but once you get into the role and perform, there can be a shift in mindset. And this is something I'm telling from my personal experience. When I entered my very first job in 2016 at Cisco, it was not a full-time job. It was used to be a contract job with one of American staffing company, Randstad Technologies. And like American staffing companies are pretty much well known for not sponsoring. So that's the understanding we went in with, that it would be a 12-month contract. I was on my EAD at the time. So I went in with my EAD, started to work in the very first year. We were able to convert things absolutely to what they said to something different, which was in my favor. That being said, I just want to wanted to add it out there that even though what you might hear up front, that is really also because of the risk appetite of any organization based on their maturity stage. So you might see different companies at different level, but I mean, understand where they come from because it is equally important as much as they are trying to understand where you are coming from. So if you can kind of, because both wants a win-win situation. So if you can perform and deliver and they see return on investment on you, they are going to invest for sure. And that's how really the business 101 is. And I think it does change. So take it all positive and just keep pushing hard.
Thank you. And a quick follow-up question to everyone. Would you recommend putting the visa statements, eligibility statements on a resume?
I mean, I want to chime in here real quick just because I have a train of thought. I This is just my point of view, personal point of view. I would not, just because I think sometimes when you are opening up conversation with an individual, because just for when I interview for my team, I don't really expect to see that because I think I'm really trying to speak with a person from other side of the table that if I'm hiring for XYZ role, what would what am I looking for? So I'm looking for a person and a potential, not and really their background and how it associates with the role. So I'm looking at 360 degree. I think one element, having it on resume or not having it is not a big identifier for me personally. So I don't really pay I over indent on that. So for me, it's okay to not have it, and I'm totally fine with it.
I'll just quickly add, I think it opens you up for discrimination. And here's what I mean by that. Like, not every single HR recruiter in the company knows exactly the rules of their company. And so maybe this role they do sponsor, but that recruiter who's reading your resume and seeing it is disqualifying you because they don't know that all they know is that they're rejecting a lot of people for some other role because they don't sponsor, but it turns out this one they do. So I it's an unnecessary flag in the resume, in my opinion. There's no upside at all from it.
I completely agree with Sammy because that was a good point he raised, as in not that every recruiter, every HR person would know what is their immigration stance on each and every job. So there can be a confusion that can take out your opportunity. There may be enterprises that are really sponsoring work visas for certain rare skill sets, but which you probably have. And putting this one on paper and then creating a sort of confusion for the recruiter to either proceed or not, because every resume is first hitting your the corporate recruiter before it reaches any place else. So it's you may not want to put it on the resume, but in the conversation when you have with the interview, you may be upfront in telling the interviewer what you would be looking for.
I agree with Prakash a lot. So this is what I am doing too. Like, and on the top of it, there is no space to put that statement. It's like your academic projects. You have to put a lot of experience and projects into your resume and skill set. So I think there was no space in my resume, and plus, I got this advice from my seniors and alumni that when they you are having a conversation with recruiter, or when you are like filling the application form, just say yes in the sponsorship part, because like putting in the resume is like it's taking unnecessary space, plus it also diverts attention of the hiring manager. So it's better to just bring it up face to face on the call with the recruiter and clarify this.
Thank you for sharing that. I know a lot of students have reservations on that, so thank you